Welcome to Fandom of the Opera, Paradox Opera's new podcast where we talk about opera, fandom, and everything in between. We are your hosts, Alissa.
And Gwen.
And today with special guest,
Maria.
Something's about to happen.
That's true.
Hello. We have a new person on the couch. So,
hello, everybody. I'm Alyssa's mom.
Hi, Alyssa's mom. Thank you for joining
us.
us.
Hi, Gwen. Hi, Alissa.
Would you like to start out just by introducing yourself and giving us the TLDR version of who you are, what you do, and how you're involved with us,
Sure.
aside from, being biologically attached to me?
Well, the most important job I've ever had was being your mother. But in the middle of all that, I'm also a college professor. I have my doctorate in media ecology from New York University. I teach at Florida Gulf Coast University, and I also am the director of something called the Roca Center, which is the Roots of Compassion and Kindness Center, where we teach people from as little as 3 and 4 years old all the way up to senior citizens about compassion, kindness, and empathy. We do all kinds of projects in the community as well as on our campus, trying to promote a kinder, more compassionate, empathetic world.
And we're trying to figure out how to use opera to do that too.
Yes, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. We just did do a production of a Junie B. Jones for children, all about kindness. So with no reason that can't be a musical version.
Yeah,
of
that
something.
was a straight play, right?
It was a straight play.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
I feel like there are certain subcategories of opera that would certainly fit into the kindness and empathy thing.
I think so. I think
although
that would be great.
kindness and empathy might not be the first thing that springs to people's head when you mention opera. There's a lot of love and death.
Yeah, there is a lot of drama.
Vengeance
Yes.
and
Yes.
jealousy.
True.
And,
True.
And also saying goodbye to your old coat.
yeah. I loved that coat, man.
Yeah, R.I.P. and peace that coat.
Although that is an act of empathy and generosity.
If it was
true.
given, did you give it to
Yes.
someone? Then that is an act of kindness.
At the end of La Boheme,
Bohème.
Colline sells his beloved old coat so that they can buy some medicine for Mimi. And spoiler alert, the sacrifice is in vain.
She
She
dies
dies
anyways.
anyway.
But it's the thought that counts.
I'll have you know that the reason that my brain made that connection between La Vendetta and the coat is because when I did Barber of Seville a couple of years ago, they had him, as he's singing that aria, just like with this giant coat, like stealing things. He was just a klepto.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Opera's super normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Uh-huh. So, speaking of opera being super normal.
Yes.
So, you've had a very unique history with opera as someone who's sort of been trapped between generations of opera people. So,
Well,
I feel like that's
yes.
very accurate.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of layers to this. My mother loved Italian opera. She used to sing it around the house all the time. And now there's you, who is an opera singer. But really, attached to all this, I've grown up in a house of musicians. My older brother was a very talented pianist and composer. My younger brother, to this day, is still very involved as much as he possibly can be with music and has a degree in music from NYU. He actually ran his own theater company in New York City for a while. And I have a master's in performing arts management and worked in the arts in New York for 10 years before I went back to school to do the doctorate in media ecology. And as a part of my doctoral work, I don't know if you know this, I think you do, one of the projects I did was to actually interview Sir Rudolph Bing. And so I actually got to interview him and spend some time with him. He was lovely.
For the youths, who is this?
Well, he was from the Metropolitan Opera.
A singer?
No, he was at that point, I think he was the executive director
Okay.
of the Metropolitan Opera and a legend in the opera world. But so, we used to get comp tickets to go to the ballet, the opera, Broadway shows as graduate students at NYU. So, my first 10 years of my professional career was as a performing arts manager in New York City.
But in mostly dance, right?
Well, that's where I moved to. No, my first I was with Claude Kipnis Mime Theater. I worked for them for a year. Then I was with the acting company and worked for John Houseman, and I worked with Kevin Kline and Patti LuPone and David Ogden Stiers and a whole bunch of other big names. And then I left there to go to co-found a company called Diamond with Matthew Diamond.
Where did the name come from?
His name. Oh, duh. And then we ran that company for 3 years until he decided to make a big career transition and started directing television. And he made his first directorial moves in soap operas. And within a year or two, I think he was doing Guiding Light. Within a year or two, he had won the Emmy for
Oh,
Best
wow.
Directing.
That's
So
amazing.
really talented. To this day, he's still doing some directing, and he is actually directing a lot of the Metropolitan Opera things
The
that
live
they do. The
streams.
live
That's
streams,
right,
correct.
yeah.
Right.
Or the in the movie theater
Right.
thing.
Right.
They are actually live.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, he did.
it's-
yes.
Yeah.
There's a live in HD thing.
Yeah.
So some of they
Then they do
record
Then
it,
they
reruns.
right.
but some of they are live.
Yeah.
Right. And
Live.
then he also did a lot of Dance in America performances, and he did a very famous piece on the Paul Taylor Dance Company that also won a ton of awards. So
Oh,
yeah.
awesome.
And we're still friends. We still talk.
He also is one of the producers of So You Think You Can Dance, right?
Early on, very early on, the first couple of, in the first couple of seasons, he directed the first couple of seasons of So You Think You Can Dance, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you've obviously been involved in all sides of the theater, but really not so hands-on in opera until more recently with what we're doing here. Do you have a particularly vivid memory of your first encounter with opera?
I don't remember which opera it was, but I remember the experience because it was at the Metropolitan Opera and it was sold out. And so that says that it was probably one of their big chestnuts. You know, it was probably something that everybody wanted to see. And the only thing we could get was standing room. So I stood through my very first opera, which might have impacted my own feelings about opera.
How old were you?
Oh, I was in grad school already.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you grew up hearing
Hearing
the
my mother
music.
sing.
Yeah.
Yes, but that was quite different. And you know, really in that era, we did not they didn't listen to records. My parents didn't listen to records. And it wasn't until my older brother and I said, we need a stereo. Because my brother was listening to music then, I was starting to listen to music then, but the music I was listening to was the Monkees
Right.
and the Beatles. I think
Right.
my very first album that I owned was a Monkees album. So, you know, I definitely wasn't a person at that point in my life that was doing much with opera. And, you know, my appreciation of opera classical music definitely came later on in life.
Was that my fault, or was there influence before
No.
I had any opera awareness?
I mean, I definitely had developed a great love for symphony music because, you know, I had done work with the Utah Symphony. I had worked some in New York with one of my big jobs for a while was with the St. Luke's Chamber Ensemble. And we actually did a wonderful program that we produced in Carnegie Hall. They did children's free opera, actually. And then what we did was a partnership with my dance company that was called Children's Free Dance. And we produced that in Carnegie Hall. So that was all done with pretty much classical music. And the St. Luke's Chamber Ensemble was a fantastic ensemble. They really were great. So, yeah, I developed a lot of love for classical music in that era.
That's fantastic. That sounds really
Yay.
cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely something that I would love to see Paradox do more of, but also with my center that, we're introducing to children to the whole range of the arts, but also themes of compassion, kindness, and empathy, which is really important to me that we're promoting that to young people in this day and age.
Yeah. Well, I toured children's opera for many, many years, and there's irons in the fire. For many reasons, I really, really love children's opera, and I get really frustrated at the industry stigma surrounding children's opera. I feel like there's kind of a vibe that a lot of people are like, oh, that's like beneath us. And I'm like, I hate that. And I think that having like the highest level singers be doing those performances is really valuable for what the kids are getting. But also, I'm someone who is just as happy being the lead on a main stage as in a kids show. I don't feel like one is like lesser than the other.
Well, no,
and I think it's often viewed that way.
And you're building future audiences.
Right.
I mean, I got to see both Pepito and
Bastian?
Bastian. I got to see both of them, and I think I got to see both of them at the
Windsphere?
At the Windsphere. And what was really so fascinating, first of all, the kids in the audience were completely engrossed.
Mhm.
But then when the cast came out afterwards, so that it was like watching you were a rock star.
Well,
Kids were
that's
falling all over you. They wanted your autograph. And, that's a way that you're starting to plant seeds for the future. It was very powerful.
yeah. Well, and honestly, like that's part of why it's so fun for me because especially in America, what we do is not valued in the way that it is in other parts of the world. And so I find that when I talk to adults and they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm an opera singer." And they're like, "Okay, but what do you really do?" Whereas these kids look at you like you're this like mythical being sometimes,
Right.
and there's so much excitement
Right.
for what we do. I also, me personally, very specifically, really enjoy being the person in these kids shows because I am the size of a child. And I remember, like, as someone who is very small and petite, I remember as a kid developing, no one did this to me. I don't know, this just happened. Developing this sense of like feeling like there are things that I can't do because I'm not big. And so like
There's a Tom Hanks movie about that.
It might be called Big, huh?
yeah,
Oh,
maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder where they got that name.
I don't know. Very creative.
But so like seeing someone that is like physically on my level at that time was like huge. When I think I was 17 or 18, it was my senior year of high school when I was in the Magic Flute Chorus at Opera Naples. And our Queen of the Night was my size. And I was like, oh my God, there's hope for me.
Well, I feel like it's not as present these days, but there is that sense of an opera singer is the proverbial fat lady
Yeah.
wearing a Viking helmet.
Yeah. But I think you're right. A lot of that's changed.
Yeah. But still being able to see yourself in what you're seeing as well. And there's a connection there that like I remember experiencing as a person of the age that we would now be singing for. So I'm just like, no, that I think that's really important.
Right.
I mean, half the kids I sang for were like a foot taller than me, honestly.
If that's not that difficult.
It's really upsetting.
Right. But I think it's important for everybody to remember the transformative nature of the arts. And that in the world we live in today, it is one of the places that we build empathy, that we allow, there's so much research that says that, when people get engaged in story, in narrative, whether it's opera, whether it's live theater, but novels as well, it is how they learn to develop their emotions, they learn to develop empathy, compassion, and they learn to develop sort of who the good guy and who the bad guy is. And when you make decisions young about wanting to be the good guy, that stays with you. And it really is profoundly impacting of who you become in life.
But the problem is that the villains are the fun roles.
They may be fun for the performers, but at the end of the day, when you're watching the show, people come out not wanting to be the villain. Hopefully they come out wanting to be the person that everybody respects and loves and that they look up to.
And I feel like a lot of times when people do identify with the villains, it's not out of a sense of, wahaha, I am mustache twirlingly evil. It's out of a sense of, this character has been wronged somehow. Or like, this character is misunderstood in a way that I identify with.
Right.
And
right.
They maybe take it in a different direction, but that has something to do with why so many kind of queer, neurodivergent, social outcasts identify heavily with villains.
Yeah.
But you think about one of the videos that Alissa was one of her favorites growing up, and it's perfect for this time of year, was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And that had the abominable snowman in it, who was supposedly a bad guy until they got to know him and discovered that he really was a really good guy, but that nobody was his friend. And once people started becoming his friends, he turned into a really good guy. You probably watched that 100 times when you were growing up.
Yeah, that's something that I don't remember it from my childhood, like I don't have the strong memories of watching it from my childhood, but I know that it's something that I watched when I was a kid. But I've recently rediscovered it
with children,
with my own children, and it's an experience.
It's wonderful. I mean, the whole idea of the island of misfit toys, and I mean, I think it's one of the best Christmas kids videos ever. It's just wonderful. Yeah.
I think that it does some serious damage to the concept of Santa as being this really like good, jolly, fun guy, because I mean, what? He comes in, he sings a song about how great he is, and he's like, wow, your newborn baby's ugly as shit. And then he leaves.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, he comes around at the end.
Santa, come on.
Get it together, man.
He comes around at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember, kids, you will be considered expendable until you're useful to authority figures.
Yeah, well, maybe so.
But I do think that the overall message, one can always find things to nitpick about. But the overall message of the film is one of empathy and acceptance and finding ways to use what makes you unique to kind of connect with others.
Right. And very early we are introduced to Clarice, who says to Rudolph, "You're cute." And he's like going, I'm cute. And it's, you see how by being acknowledged by somebody is so transformative, that he starts to feel valued. And and then it goes from there.
And I think that also goes with this idea of he's primarily rejected by authority figures. And I almost said people, the other reindeer his age who fit into the authority structure are more likely to cast him out. But there is this other kid who doesn't have a problem with him being different. And that's
a powerful message.
Yes.
That's a message that every child needs to embrace and understand that difference is beautiful.
Yeah. And because you still to this day, you have the message of like, well, how am I going to explain this to my kids when about any number of things, about gay people, about transgender people, about mental illness or
neurodivergency or disability or
and it's sort of like, I mean, yes, children can be cruel sometimes, but children also have an incredible capacity for kindness.
That's right.
Empathy.
As we find with the center, we see this in the kids all the time, that when they're introduced to it and they discover how wonderful it is to be that good person, that's who they want to be. It just reminded me in saying that, my own experience as a child, my father was severely handicapped and my mother was an immigrant. So I was growing up with a double whammy. And
your brother is queer.
And my brother's gay, right. And so, we've had quite a diverse, and my older brother was like the uber nerd. So, he was the subject of so much bullying when he was a kid. And I was probably the one that was the most accepted by others. But, my younger brother had to find his community, as he knew from the time he was very little that he was homosexual. And so we had a very diverse household growing up. And my father was, first of all, he was the most brilliant man I've ever known, and really taught us to be accepting of everybody. And it wasn't until he died and I was at his funeral, and my father had a male secretary, and he pulled me aside and he said, now I can be openly gay, but your father knew from the time he hired me that I was gay, and he protected me all these years. And I mean, I remember just crying, when I realized what an extraordinary human my father was.
Yeah. I'm going to cry. Jesus.
Yeah, because, you were talking, my father hired him in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Which was not an era where it was easy to be gay, even in New York City. People had to be hidden. Right.
It's really upsetting to think about. You think back on that and then had that experience of him being like, oh, it's great. It's like, okay now. And now we're like, oh, we're cycling backwards again.
Well, how many conservative families have kids who are in the LGBTQ community, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I want my children in my life. And they
We
come
hope
and they
that's
come
their
around. I know
reaction.
some reject them. I understand that. But I just ultimately hope that they love their children enough to say, let me embrace them and try to understand. And, many have changed the way they feel because of who their children are.
Yeah.
So.
Remember, kids, be gay. It helps your parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it definitely helps open their minds. Yes. Right, truly. Yeah.
This is where my brain is at today. I'm like, wow, episode 3, and we've mentioned Florida every time.
Well, you did mostly grow up there. I mean, you were born and raised in upstate New York for the first 5 years, but then from then all the way through college, because
Yes,
you
much to
stayed
my
in
dismay.
Florida all the way through college. You were there
Against
for
my
a very
will.
long. You chose University of Miami. I didn't choose that for you.
Well, only because the teacher at NYU was the fucking worst. Like, it is her fault. It is
She was a little bit strange.
exclusively her fault.
Yeah.
It is exclusively
Anybody
her
thinking
fault.
about NYU, that was many years
Yeah,
ago
she's
now.
gone.
She's no
She's
longer
gone.
there.
No, I felt
And having
bad.
2 degrees from NYU, I do have to say it was a great school to go to.
Well, it was my dream school.
Yeah.
And all the other folks that we interacted with when I was doing
They
my
were really-
application
the
were
guy who-
wonderful.
Right. The head
And
of
I
that
just
program was lovely.
Had
Yeah.
this trial lesson, and the reality of this person.
danced.
Ugh! I haven't told that story on here.
Ooh.
I told it to my student in our lesson the other day, and she was like, I'm going to set the world on fire. She was so mad on my behalf. Shocking. This has taken an unexpected turn because we all have ADHD. Yeah, college auditions are a time. And when I was applying for undergrad and all of my programs, but you go and take a trial lesson to make sure you like who you are going to be working with in the program. And had this trial lesson. Truly, I could not have spent 4 years. I could not have spent 5 minutes more in this woman's studio. I don't even remember her name because it's not worth remembering, to be honest with you.
I don't remember.
First of all, we show up and she forgot
Oh,
that
really?
I had scheduled a trial lesson. And she was like, oh, had like a little bit of a moment of like, shit.
Very
grumble.
voice teacher coded,
Uh-huh.
TBH. That's truth in advertising right there.
But begrudgingly brought me in, was like, okay, fine, we'll have the lesson, whatever. And so I had wanted to bring the same piece of music to every lesson that I had so that I could really directly compare how these teachers worked with the same aria. And I was a precocious little shithead, and I was singing A Je veux
Was?
vivre. Listen. I was singing A Je veux vivre from Gounod's Romeo and Juliet. And people have a lot of opinions about 18-year-olds singing arias. And I say to her, this is what I want to work on. And she just immediately like puts her nose up and is like, absolutely not. You can't sing this. Having never heard me utter a note, by the way. And I was like, well, I'm out. And like, that was it. There was no point in even the rest of it. But she starts flipping through my book of music to see like what else was there. And her expression, it was like a cartoon. Like you watched her just get more and more disgusted by what was in my binder. And finally she gets to I Could Have Danced All Night from My Fair Lady. And she's like, well, okay, I guess you can sing this. Yeah. No, it was nasty, man.
For those listening over the podcast apps, I just narrowed my eyes in disgust and mild wrath.
And so I start and I sing 4 notes. 4 notes. I could have danced. Stop. The word is pronounced danced, not danced. You are not British. And I was like, yeah, but the character is.
Yeah, famously, that's what the show is about.
Yeah.
The show is about diction.
Yeah. And she was like so adamant. She's like, no, you need to sing this in your native accent. Like, you don't. And I was like, are you an idiot? The answer is yes, obviously. So I do it again. She stops me again. She's like, no, you're not getting it. And finally, I like throw my hands up and go so nasty, like bad musical theater on her. And I'm like, fine, is this what you want? I could have danced all night. Oh, yes, that's exactly what I want. And I was like, I'm going to go out here and like slit my wrists in the bath. Like,
I could have danced all night.
Could have danced all night.
I
It
don't-
would have been so
all
much fun.
night.
All night.
like I truly,
You can hear Henry Higgins going, dance.
yeah.
Dance.
Yeah.
Dance.
Eliza, I'm going to step outside and shoot myself in the head.
That's about how I felt. And I don't remember anything else about singing in that lesson because I was fucking
Go
done.
much beyond there.
I was
It didn't go
fucking
much
done.
beyond there. We
But
were
this
close
I'm
to
certain you will recall because we wrap up. She brings you into the room.
Yeah.
She hands the book of music to her, back to my mother, and addresses her rather than me, and says to her, you need to take all of this music out of your daughter's binder. This is incredibly inappropriate for someone of her age. She should only be singing art songs.
Yeah, people that are 17 and 18 famously really, really listen to their parents.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
are
right.
super
I-
open to their parents correcting
I
them.
would
and-
never touch her book of music. That
Yeah.
was not my role. That
Well,
wasn't what I was
yeah,
supposed
also
to
like
be.
that was like just so beyond inappropriate. And so I remember both of us just kind of like silently, like wide-eyed, like what the fuck is happening? What the fuck is happening?
Right.
And we turn and walk. The second she shuts the door, she looks at me and she goes,
Nope.
okay, I know you're not going to school here.
It was hard because the director of the program,
I
who
felt
was
so
lovely,
bad.
was like, how much can we offer? Can we offer you more? I mean, he kept, trying to up. They could never match what Miami offered anyway. 'cause-
Yeah, no, they did.
no,
They did.
No, they did not.
I remember that they was basically the same offer.
No, it wasn't. No, because Miami, you had not only the music scholarship,
I
but
guess we had the Florida aid as
you had
well.
you had a academic.
They gave me that too.
Not to the level that they did at Miami. And remember,
I mean, that's neither
even
here nor there.
people, if you have kids, I'm just telling you, even then, the annual tuition at NYU was $65,000 a year.
College is a scam. College is a scam now.
Well, I teach at a college, so I would not say that. But
The
you
co-
know,
you
Except
cannot-
at
no.
Florida Gulf Coast University.
You
Right.
cannot tell me that the cost is worth what they are.
for
able-
a private school,
Yeah.
for a private school, which is dramatically different
Sure.
than a state school.
But like it's such a lot. I don't think that it's an invaluable experience. I think that it is a scam for what it costs.
Yeah.
Because you used to go and get your degree and be able to actually like walk out into your field and get a job and like set yourself up for success. And now you're both not going to get a job and you're going to be in crippling debt for the rest of your life.
a very long time. That's correct.
It's a huge scam.
The privates are outrageous.
It's really sad.
I mean,
Because I think the experience is valuable, but it's not worth what it costs. Absolutely not. Especially as a musician. Like, you can take that money, and if you have the drive, you can build your own education for much cheaper.
well, if you think about that, 4 years now at a school like NYU is $250,000 in tuition. That kind of money can buy you the best voice teachers.
Right, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
right, yeah.
Like, if you've got that money, go get a good teacher and a coach and do your weekly lessons with them. Go do a couple pay to sings.
Right.
Like, do the actual, like, the experience school kind of things. That's the only situation in which I would be like, yes, do a pay to sing, because fuck that. I'm not paying you to do my job. But in lieu of
No, and
a
building- you're
university
building your network, 'cause
education.
You're building your network. Right.
Well, right, but in lieu of a university education, you're paying for both of those things. So that I'm like, just do that instead.
Go to
honestly.
Italy.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Right.
go to anywhere in Europe.
Yeah.
Go to the
No, just go to Italy.
Salzburg.
Just go to Italy.
No, the Salzburg program is really good. I mean, Germany and Austria are
Well, all true,
huge for
but the food in
opera.
Italy is better.
Ooh, we're fighting.
Do you disagree?
I've never been to Germany. So
I have.
Great.
The food in Italy is better. Especially if you're a vegetarian.
I was gonna say that, like, to a lot of the appeal of German and Austrian food is
Meat.
in the, like, sausage and schnitzel and various types of Fleisch.
Yes.
I say, really, I think you're just gonna start beef with your friend Martin.
No.
No, 'cause she's
No.
a vegetarian.
Right. So is he.
Martin's vegan.
Yeah.
Martin's vegan. Yeah. And
lives
he
in
will
Germany.
now argue that Germany's gotten much better.
Yeah.
Because they actually are way better. Well, this is true in Italy too. So much better with organic foods and huge ranges of really wonderful vegan restaurants there now too. So.
I mean, honestly, I feel like just in general,
Europe.
everywhere other than here,
Yeah,
the food
Europe.
is
Yeah.
better.
Europe's
I
way
mean,
ahead
some
of
of
us on all these
the
areas.
best vegetarian food that I've had that I can think of offhand was in Iceland.
Yeah.
Which is
Right.
not known for its produce.
God, we
Right.
had such good food there.
Right.
Yum.
Mm-hmm.
This episode of Fandom of the Opera is brought to you by our incredible patrons on Patreon, including Cindy and Chuck. This episode is also sponsored by our friend Xavier, who donated to support the creation of our new opera, The Genders of Gibberage, to say, "Save the chickens! Save the world!" If you would like to sponsor a future episode of our podcast, you can email us at fandomoftheoperapodcast@gmail.com or subscribe to our Patreon. Back to the show or something.
Or something.
So also, obviously, the fandom part of this podcast, you had either the fortune or misfortune, you'll have to let us know, of dealing with a huge fucking weeb as a child who demanded that you take me to anime conventions
I did many
all
of
the time. And she became con mom. And so correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like that really was the inception of you having any idea of what was going on in, like, deep nerd pop culture world.
Yeah, probably true. I mean, got to see the remarkable collection of costumes that people wore, and I did go to a whole bunch of workshops and sessions and get to walk through the amazing artist rows. And so, yeah, I got quite a bit of experience. God, we did Tampa, we did Orlando, we did Miami. Yeah, we did quite a few of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I kept threatening to go to cosplay myself, but I never got to do it. But if I did, I wanted to be...
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Lady Eboshi.
Oh, hell yeah. Respect.
Yeah. Also, like, a Sophie cosplay would be so easy.
Wow.
Like, mostly because, like, she doesn't need a wig, right? Like, her hair is so long, you can't tell it's tucked in. Her hair is so long,
right.
And so her dress is pretty simple to recreate.
Yeah,
it's not an insult. Jeez, Howells is amazing.
She says, "I would love to be Lady Eboshi," and you're like, "How about someone old as shit?"
Listen, I didn't say, what's her name? Bava from Spirited Away.
Oh, I could do that. Yeah, I liked her too. I mean, I am a huge fan of Hayao Miyazaki, and actually wrote a piece about his environmental themes in his films and presented it at a conference, at a professional conference.
That's right. That was Nausicaa and
Spirited
Mononoke.
Away, Princess Mononoke, right?
Was it just those three?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but yeah, no, I just think his work is amazing. And then, really, when you were reading a lot of manga, I would try to read some of the manga. I read a bunch of the Death Notes, and then was really fascinated by Mushishi. I still am. I think Mushishi is one of the most fascinating concepts. I just love that idea of these creatures that are in between.
See, I told you, she's like, oh, I don't know that I know a lot about these things. And then she's out here like, I really like Mushishi, and my favorite opera is Capriccio. And I'm like, so all of the really niche things that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah, tell me that's a name that I recognize. It's not a series that I've engaged with. So what's Mushishi about?
Well, they're these little creatures that are in between life and death. And there are people who can connect with them. And so it's a series that's about these people that can connect with them. And they're mischievous.
Okay.
The little mushishis. Yeah, they're mischievous and cause all kinds of mayhem. So yeah, it's
Excellent.
a wonderful series. Really, really wonderful.
Is it
series.
is it an ongoing or like a
It's
single story, or is it like
It's a single story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And I do believe they did an anime adaptation. So there's both the manga and
Yeah.
the anime, but it
Yeah.
is long over and
Yeah.
contained piece.
Yeah.
neat? That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I actually just stumbled on the couple of books that I have, and I realized that they're actually Kendra's. So at some point, I should give them back to her. But I figured I'll reread them again before I give them back to her.
Thief.
She lent them to me. She didn't say for how long. It just happens to have been 20 years. So can I tell you?
Yeah.
I think she's probably forgotten, but she may be listening to this, so she may be like, "Wait, I want my
Give me my
What the
books
hell?
back.
I want my Mushishi books back." But my students always thought it was really funny when they came in with like something from Death Note, and I'd be like, "Oh, Death Note," and they'd be like, "What?" I said, "Well, yeah, I have a daughter. She's kind of into all that stuff, right?" And Naruto. Oh God.
Okay, let's elaborate on that.
It's just that we had a room that was sort of covered with Naruto for a while, and then the cards, the books, the videos. Yeah, it was a thing for quite a while. Yeah. I mean, we just really liked them.
Yeah,
I think
there is.
right.
I have to say, as someone who is really into anime and stuff as a child, and someone who now has a child who is getting into anime and various things like that, it's some of them are like, yes, I fully support this. I think this is great. And some of them are like, this is a merchandising black hole.
Yeah.
Like this is less a story and more of a content factory.
Yeah.
Shonen slop.
Shonen slop, like Rossini,
Exactly.
as we established in episode 1.
Content machines.
Yeah. But I mean, Naruto was definitely child appropriate, so that was important too. That
Now I feel like this is conjuring images in my head of like Rossini, like cardboard cutouts and
you
body
haven't seen Alyssa's
pillows
room.
of
Alyssa has the cardboard cutouts in her room still at my house.
No, they are.
Well, you have some of those, and then you also have the bookcases.
They're attached to the bookcases.
bookcases.
So they're
So we
not
had-
standees. They're bookcases.
So we had a
yeah,
friend.
Mom.
We had a friend
God.
that worked at Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we told him, anytime you're ready to change the display and empty those, we'll take them off
Yeah.
your hands, because they would just throw them out. And she
Yeah.
was like,
I want them.
Yeah. So she actually has one specifically for the different series.
Yeah.
That are in the actual bookcases with the series.
Mhm.
Because, back in the day when we went to bookstores, deep sigh.
We spent a lot of time. in
Whatever the
bookstores.
new really popular thing was, they'd have their special little display for it, but it was just these little big cardboard bookcases,
Strong cardboard.
but then like with the character
the full
and
series.
well, no, like that the character cutout
Right.
is also there, so it was
Right.
poppy and eye catching. And honestly, I feel like I deserved them because I should have been an employee at that store, the way I was constantly fixing their fucked up bookshelves and teaching their new employees how to do their jobs. And I applied and they didn't hire me, and I'll be mad about it forever.
Yeah, because you were already working there for free.
Yeah. Bitches.
They were like, why would we start paying you when you're doing all of this voluntary unpaid labor?
So
Right.
mad.
Get woke, Alyssa.
I was so mad.
Get some class consciousness.
I was really mostly mad when I met the person that they hired instead of me. And I was always pre-ordering the new books of series because I was like, I'm gonna get it. Let's do it. And I went to go do a pre-order, and it was this new person, and they did not know how to use the system, and I taught them how to do it. I was so pissed off.
But we had our wonderful friend that worked there, Shadow.
Yeah, they would let me stay after closing, and we would have rubber band wars.
Oh, yes, they did.
I used to have a whole wrist full, like this much, of rubber bands, and it was war. I got very good.
She would have been dangerous with a slingshot. Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah,
She's terrifying like that.
correct. It's by design. But yeah, so what was it like being the parental unit at the conventions and being steeped in this sort of mysterious new thing.
I mean, my first response is it was fun, but it also, for me, what was most important was I knew where you were. I knew who you were with. I was there if you needed me to come and be like, hey, come on, let's get out of here. Because there were some strange people that sometimes wandered around some of the cons that was like, don't go near that person. And you would tell me, like, there's a weird one over there.
The thing that's so sad is, like, honestly, it was very safe when we were going. Like, now, you can't go to cons anymore. Like, it's not safe anymore.
Yeah. I mean, there
really
weren't
sad.
too many, but there were a few that were kind of creepy.
Yeah, no, there was always, like, but that's the thing, is there was always, like, the creeper.
Yeah.
And we all knew who it was.
Yeah.
And the whole community was, like, watching out for each other. And also, it was, like, one or two people. Yeah. And so it was, like, really a non-issue.
I would say to, parents, the other thing is, because you're driving a lot with the kids in the car. And they talk. And you learn a lot about what your kids are interested in, what they're talking about. I mean, you become sort of the consummate eavesdropper, and and you learn, a lot that is very often very helpful in supporting your children. And I never understood some of these other parents who were like, take my kid, just go, and we very often would go with 2, 3.
I think at most we went with like 5 one time.
Maybe, yeah, we may have. Well, no, we couldn't have, because we couldn't have put that many in the car. It would have been 4 at most.
We were small.
No, but still,
one of them got shoved in the trunk.
No,
yeah.
We never did that. But if we're driving to Orlando, that's like 3.5 hours in the car each way. That's a lot of conversation. And at that point, none of the kids had cell phones, so they actually were talking to each other. And
what a concept!
Yeah, I know. It was some very powerful, very interesting conversations, and allowed me to be supportive. I have to say, the only downside, I ate a lot of really bad food.
Oh, con food is so bad.
Con food is so bad.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's arena food, and it's so bad.
And it's so expensive, really, and it's like 2 bites of trash garbage. And then you go to Denny's in costume, and then you are the reason that Denny's bans masks, and it's a bad time. That was on me. That was our group of people.
What did you do?
We went to Denny's in cosplay, and they got upset, and so they banned any like full face masks at the Denny's in Tampa.
What were you doing with full face masks?
Well, they took them off to eat. They were just still wearing them.
Right, but what were like
I don't know.
Remember.
Showing up and eating and paying and leaving when you have a full face mask?
No, they took them off. They were going to sit down and take them
grounds
off.
for having masks banned. So my question is, what the hell were you guys doing?
I don't know, but at least it wasn't the bucket. That was not me. That was not us. That was not our people.
That sounds like a story.
Oh, do you not know about the buckets, metal buckets are banned at all conventions because it was this huge meme in the Homestuck community and people were getting like brutalized by buckets. So they're banned. It's a whole weird thing. Just do yourself a favor and don't go down that rabbit hole. Just don't do it. That's all you need to know.
But returning to con food, when you're a vegetarian, you are unbelievably limited. I ate a lot of soft pretzels.
Yes.
During those years, which weren't the worst thing in the world. But,
yeah, I mean,
but there's a point at which your carb level just sort of goes, no more carbs.
Like, I'd like to eat something that used to be a plant.
Yes. But then we had this amazing Italian restaurant in Tampa that we used to go to.
They closed. I'm so sad.
But they were going to hire you because you sang. You sang there. She just one day was like, would you like me to sing? And they said yes. And
no, I'm pretty sure that was one of the instances in which I was bullied by an adult into singing in a restaurant.
Yeah, but then the owner was like, oh, do you live here? Can you, because they do a boat. They used to do a boat down the river in Tampa, and they asked if she would sing on the boat.
This never came to fruition, though.
Well, it didn't because we didn't live there. It's like, well, yeah, no, to drive 2.5 hours so that you could go sing on a boat for an hour.
It's a pretty normal thing for an opera singer.
Yeah, but I'm the driver. And we had things to care for at home. So, yeah, it would have been difficult.
Yeah, I frequently drive for 2.5 hours to sing for less than an hour.
Well, yeah, but now that's something that you are making the choice to do, and you're not making your
somebody
mom
else
drive
for you. Yeah. So,
no, I make you drive for me.
Right.
Yeah. Because sometimes I'm doing the singing as well.
Yeah. Or I'm just like, I'm taking an audition and I need moral support. Drive me. Thanks.
No, cons were fun.
I personally do still support the idea of getting you to cosplay at a con sometime.
Yeah.
We should make this happen.
Yeah.
Maybe on a podcast. Maybe to cosplay on a podcast. I still want my Lady Eboshi costume.
Yeah.
It's amazing. She is talking. We were talking earlier about villains, but she's another one that is one of the most interesting characters because you think that she's such a horrible person, and then you discover that she's giving jobs to people with leprosy, which is like no one else would do it. And I mean, there was such a side of her that was incredibly compassionate. Yeah, she was one of my favorites. I really thought that was an interesting character.
I feel like very frequently in Miyazaki's pieces, there is no one who's actually a stereotypical villain.
No.
It's always there is an antagonist, and then their evolution is so much more interesting and deep than in a lot of other media.
Right. I gotta go back and watch those all again. It's
Except
been a long time.
Except for Birthday Girl in Kiki's
Fuck
delivery.
Birthday Girl. Fuck that bitch.
That
I hope she
ungrateful,
dies.
spoiled little wench.
Fuck her.
I have not seen that one.
Okay.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay, listen.
She's
I?
mean to her grandma.
Yeah,
Oh,
fuck
no.
her.
Oh, no.
Okay. Yeah, no. She. Oh. Should I read my review on the podcast?
If you want.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So you need to watch Kiki's.
It's adorable.
It's very good.
And it's about kind of finding joy in what you do and dealing with burnout, which is an incredibly relatable thing for artists of all varieties, and it for a lot of people.
Right.
I think you would like it a lot.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of empathy, compassion, and kindness.
Oh, very good. I would like that.
I've
wanted to see that, and it just
Okay.
Yes.
So, if you have seen Kiki's Delivery Service, you will understand. If you haven't, hopefully you'll be entertained and also go watch Kiki's Delivery Service. Also important to know that I only watched it for the first time in 2021. So I was a whole ass adult. And this was my very visceral reaction to seeing Kiki's for the first time. Okay, so Jeff is the OG goodest boy. Also, Birthday Girl is the cuntiest cunt who ever lived. Fuck her. Kiki is the real granddaughter now. Also, Barca is a mood, and yes. Also, big lesbian painter energy, 10 out of 10. Hashtag hot take. Birthday Girl is worse than Hitler. If Kiki met Hitler instead, she would have had a better time.
Oh.
Mic drop.
You shouldn't throw your phone.
It's fine.
Okay.
I mean,
People don't throw your phone.
It's fine.
Considering
Don't throw your shoes.
some of the
There's a story.
So there was this shoe There was this very lovely, privately owned small shoe store, but that imported all their shoes, mostly from Italy.
Were they also the cobbler, or was it just the store?
No, this was. Well, I think they might have done some.
I think they had like both.
I think they had both.
Anyway.
Yeah, they did. So we were buying these shoes, and there was like slip-on shoes, but they had like jewels on them and something.
Yeah.
And he said, "Don't kick off your shoes. Don't throw your shoes. You'll shatter the gem." But it's just the way he said it, it became.
But there was a story. No, do you not remember? This was he very explicitly was like, if you buy these shoes, you must promise me, do not throw your shoes. And we're like, what the fuck? And he's like, I had a woman, she bought these shoes, and she came back and she was very upset because they broke. And I said, well, what did you do? And she said, I threw them at my dog.
It's like, I'm sorry, I can't fix those. So, no. Yeah, so it's like, don't kick off your shoes. Don't throw your shoes.
And she had literally, apparently, thrown it across the room and then came back and admitted it.
Yeah.
It's for me. It's the fact that specifically it was at a dog.
I don't remember that.
I do. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not doubting, but I just said I don't remember.
Just
that
like,
part of the
okay,
story.
so not only have you voided your warranty on my shoe work, but you're doing animal cruelty, and so Just on principle, I'm not gonna fix your shoes.
No, and also your
was
band.
it Birthday Girl?
It might have been Birthday Girl.
Probably Birthday Girl.
Probably. Fuck her. Entitled ass bitch. Listen, her grandmother made her a cake, a pastry of some
it was
variety.
Like a fish pie or something.
For her birthday, and it was Kiki's job to deliver it, hence the name of the movie.
Right.
And she showed up and she's like, oh, fuck my grandma, fuck this pie. And we're like, literally kill this girl.
She doesn't actually say fuck.
But she means it. It's in her tone. She's such an entitled little shit.
Yeah, it's just sort of a like, I told grandma I didn't want one of these.
It's very Dudley. But last year I had 37.
I'm
Oh,
37.
Dudley.
Yeah. Ungrateful swine.
Well, especially because it also hits closer to home because you just saw Kiki like
have a beautiful interaction with this woman.
Way far out of her way to help this grandma make this thing. So it's something that was made with love and is met with derision.
Which is why I said Kiki is the real granddaughter now.
Yeah.
She is getting usurped.
Correct. As it should be.
I agree.
And I was going to say that, Miyazaki also has some of the World War II films. So if you consider implications of the greater MCU, the Miyazaki cinematic universe, Kiki meeting Hitler is not, in fact, entirely out of the realm of possibility.
It could be a canon event.
And Birthday Girl is still worse.
Correct. Look, Hitler is horrible, but he probably was nice to his grandma.
Let's not go there. Like
he wanted to go to art school.
He wanted to go to art school.
And then he got rejected and he became the biggest villain of all time.
Yeah,
so don't reject children from art school or you might create Hitler too, okay?
Right.
All I'm going to say is that you just uttered the phrase, Hitler was horrible, but... And, like, there's...
Fine, Hitler was horrible and he was probably nice to his grandma. His grandma probably liked his art.
I mean, have you seen the movie Downfall, Der Untergang?
No.
It came out, I think, while I was in college, and it is an excellent German film that is a horrifying, harrowing watch because it's essentially a movie about Hitler's last days in the bunker.
Ooh.
And kind of through the eyes of a secretary or and so it's very interesting and horrifying because it shows you you get to see the softer side of Hitler, that he's this sort of, he has these moments of kind of almost grandfatherly concern and these moments of kindness toward the people that he considers worthy of his kindness, but you also, there's also this knowledge of no, none of that diminishes in if anything it makes it worse. That it's like you have the capacity for kindness and just the kind of the humanity of evil, that evil people are still people, and that it is,
it comes from somewhere, and it's not an entirely black and white thing. The fact that he is a monster who does monstrous things doesn't mean he's incapable of being polite and asking, oh, how are your kids doing, or things like that. And that the humanizing aspects of someone don't take away from the monstrousness of their actions. Fantastic movie, really, really deeply upsetting.
But I teach a class in the 7 Deadly Sins, and we talk about the fact that one of the things I say at the beginning of the semester is we indulge sin, we nurture virtue. Nurturing virtue takes work. Indulging sin is easy. But indulging sin does not make you have a life that's satisfying. In fact, it makes for miserable people. If you're indulging in gluttony, and particularly if it's things like use of drugs and alcohol, you're not a happy person, right? But if you're nurturing virtue, at least you can find a way to feel good about yourself, to feel like you're well, I mean, the top three virtues, faith, hope, and charity, that love, that you're bringing love to the world, you're taking care of people, you're promoting hope. But we have a choice, and that's at the core of the class that I teach. We always have a choice. And the development of character is the development of the ability to make the better choices. But that takes work, and that takes a desire. But at the same time, if you want a truly happy, satisfying life, you have to nurture virtue. Otherwise, you will be miserable forever and will always be looking to the wrong places for joy and happiness in your life.
When you should be looking to opera for joy and happiness in your life.
It could be a place, yes. Yes.
Or art in general, but
Art in general, truly.
particularly, support the
Particularly
Support
the
the
weird art that
arts.
we're doing, because the government's sure not going to. Listen, I showed our new friend who's potentially helping us with some stuff that was very specific, intentionally, the ad that I made for Madrigal Madness, and he was like, "This is brilliant. This is the best thing I've ever seen. The government will never give you money." And I was like, "Yep, that's the point."
Yeah, at the moment, I don't know that I would want their money.
I don't want their money. I don't want their money because there is a huge risk of them taking it away. I am not above taking money from shitty people so that I can use that money to do things that would make those people upset. But if there's a risk of it being taken away, then I don't want that.
Right. If it can be used as leverage against you,
Right.
then that's not a great thing.
Right.
Right.
Speaking of Madrigal Madness, so we've done this in reverse order of last time, but what's going on at Paradox Opera right now?
Well, we're doing a podcast
I mean, yes.
right now.
Yes.
But last night.
Yeah. Last night we did a show. We were in it. She was at it.
It was fantastic.
You want to tell them what happened as an audience?
It was
person?
just great fun. They sang amazing magical songs. There was a wonderful script written by Gwen, and there were things for sale, including my beautiful shawl that I'm wearing today that was made by a board member.
It does look very comfortable.
It is
very
very
cozy.
comfortable, and
It's
it may
very
never leave
soft.
my body again as long as I live. Yeah, and it was just so much fun, and the people had a wonderful time, and there was food, and there was maybe a little wine, and we raised some money for the company, which was great.
Yeah. And there were raffles and costume
Raffles, yeah.
contests and chaos. And
Much merriment.
we're very excited for the photos to come out. Our friend Anna Wheelis did our photography. Huge shout out to her for saving our butts last minute and also being incredible. So yes, we will post links to those when they are out and share her work. She's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was saying to Maria this morning, I don't think I'm going to be able to get those madrigals out of my head for
Good king,
weeks.
good king.
Yeah, I've been singing Now Is the Month of Maying all day,
Well,
and it's December.
One ought to be singing Now Is the Month of Maying all day, every day, forever. That is the correct response to that madrigal. Yeah. Each with his bonny lass upon the greeny grass. Fa la.
Fa la 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 la. La la la. La 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 la.
Yeah.
La.
Too bad we'll never know what that means.
Correct.
Yeah. Bummer.
Yeah.
Well, we all did get to sing along.
Yes, and we had everyone sing.
Sing to thee, sing to thee.
Drink.
Drink, sorry. Okay. That's why I'm not a singer.
I don't think that correlates.
But yeah, it was, our last episode was about the Messiah and how it's overdone and how people should do other things for their holiday musical.
Yes.
And so we did. Oh, I should have put this at the beginning, but I'm doing it now because I forgot and I'm still doing it. I have a correction, speaking of, from our previous podcast, noted by our friend Jordan. It was great. It was a great conversation about castrati, and I'm glad we had it. But we have been put in our place and reminded that though perhaps at some point castrati did sing the alto part in the Messiah, it was written for contraltos because in England the castrati were not as popular, which is
It's more
probably
of an Italian thing.
Yeah, well, and I feel like that's really one of the few things that the English did right.
You don't normally gotta hand it to England.
No, but in that case, good job. Good job not doing that.
Yeah. Some of us would say that the country is a little bit culturally poorer for having a dearth of scheming eunuchs. But, that's just to each their own.
Yeah.
A different time. A different era.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
Right. But it was a great show. And rumor has it they might do it again next year. And if they do, don't miss it.
You heard her.
Great. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the singers were exceptional. Just beautiful.
We hire the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, it's so nice to be part of a small ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really love singing in like quartets and quintets, and the experience of singing with a full choir is great, but it's a much different experience to sing with just a handful of really talented people who really know what they're
for
doing.
an audience, actually, it's also, again, I love choral music, but the quartet, the quintet from last night, you get to appreciate each singer's voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's unless you've got soloists with the big choir, you don't get them to get, there's so many other great voices in there and you really don't get to appreciate them. But with the quintet, you really got to appreciate every single person's voice.
Yeah, it is also my preferred method of ensemble singing because, and especially with me being the one in charge of it, we can just sing.
Mm-hmm.
And we work together to have a sound, a blend that, our voices work together. But we're not asking anyone to change their voice to match something else.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot more joy for me personally in that kind of ensemble singing because I came from wind ensemble world before I was a singer, and it feels to me much more like that, of all of these pieces working together, but you are still your individual, and your individual artistic interpretations are able to be heard and matter, whereas in a large ensemble it's match your neighbor and do what the director says.
And that sticking out
is
in
bad.
In a large choir is bad. You are supposed to be kind of blending into a more
one
homogeneous
voice.
texture.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything else?
I'm hungry.
Okay. I think it's time for dinner.
I had an idea for our what would be a tagline for Paradox Opera's fundraising efforts.
Oh yeah,
it should be "Put your money where our mouth is."
Yeah,
that's good.
We do need more money, so please give it to
donate.
us.
It's all tax deductible.
Correct.
Yes.
501c3.
Correct. There's 6,000 million ways to give us
Well,
money
yeah.
now.
Okay.
So you should do it all of the ways.
Yeah, all
that
of
would
the
be
above.
ideal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, Maria, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. This was great fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's always nice to have you in town
Well,
in
thank you.
general,
Thank
but
you,
also especially as a guest. And I know
appreciate
that our conversation went to places that it wouldn't normally have gone with your perspective in the mix, and
Well,
that was a really cool experience. So thank you
Cool.
for joining
Cool.
us.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Tell the people what you're currently doing, things they should pay attention to about what you're doing, and where they can find you.
If you go to the Florida Gulf Coast University website and look for the Roots of Compassion and Kindness Center, you can go to our page and you can see what we've been up to. Maybe the most important thing in some ways that I'm involved with now is a compassionate community initiative for all of the Fort Myers area. I'm one of the organizers along with several other magnificent people and organizations, and we are working on a community-wide kindness challenge to try to get every business, every organization to take it on and get everybody within their organization doing acts of compassion, kindness, and empathy, and then sharing them. So we might even have a video game that's coming out connected to it. An amazingly talented video game designer working with us. So it's something like Pokemon Go.
And how can people find out about that?
Well, that's coming later.
But is there a way that they can follow
the Rock Center would be probably at this point the best way to find us, because we don't have a website yet for the community initiative, but then we are one of the central people in organizing everything.
And are you on social media?
Kind of. Oh, well, yes, the center is.
Okay,
Oh,
and,
yes.
and how can people find you on social media?
Roots of Compassion and Kindness Center. We're on Facebook. We are on Instagram. And we are on LinkedIn.
Great. We'll include those links in the show notes as well.
Okay. Thank you.
And do you want them to find you?
Well, I mean, you can find me through the center, and it's up, which is also a 501c3, and we do accept donations, and we would be delighted to have more people supporting us, because so much of what we do is dependent on the donations that we have. We make things called kindfulness grants, where anybody in our community can apply, and they just have to come up with ideas for how to make the community a kinder, more compassionate, empathetic place to live, work, play, and study. And we've had the most remarkable collection. In fact, we funded in part the Junie B. Jones show recently that was done both on our campus and in the community. But yeah, we've got this pretty insane, amazing collection of things that we're supporting. We very recently supported bat boxes at our food forest.
Bat boxes?
Yeah. So there'll be fewer mosquitoes,
Nice.
which is a very
real bats.
Real bats. Yeah.
Cool.
Real bats. Yeah, because it's very kind to reduce the mosquito population. The bats get to eat, and the mosquitoes don't eat the people, which is very, very, very kind.
We like that.
Yeah. Huge fan
There's
of.
been a tremendous amount of just wonderful small things that we did. We just actually sponsored a rock wall on our campus as part of World Kindness Day. We do a huge festival on World Kindness Day where we take over the central lawn on campus, and we had mini horses there.
Yes.
And they're the best. And we had therapy dogs, so people came and got to come and pet the animals and relax and de-stress. But we did so many amazing things that day, and and I should have brought my puppet, but it's too hard for me to travel. I have a very wonderful puppet named Rocky,
Next
and then
time.
we have a second one called Kiko. Oh no, it's too big.
We'll do it on Zoom.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. Okay.
Not sponsored.
Yes, please take a look at what we do. We really want people to embrace the mission of the Roots of Compassion and Kindness Center.
Great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You've been listening to Fandom of the Opera. You can find me on social media at Divatron9000 and Gwen
At Baritone.
on everything. If you would like to support the work that we are doing on this podcast, please consider signing up for our Patreon. We have both free and paid tiers, and all of your involvement in that is incredibly helpful to getting more eyes and ears on what we are doing. If you have questions, comments, or if you are interested in sponsoring an episode, you can write to us at fandomoftheoperapodcast@gmail.com. The music that you heard at the beginning and end of the podcast is an excerpt from Calling for Jane by Rachel Dean and Aaron Reifler. This podcast was edited by me. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.